Welcome to Roughing It with Ruth, the channel where everything is a bit rough around the edges. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 ways in which you can get yourself into serious trouble on the trail. These 3 things are things that I have fallen victim to before, and I call them the 3 traps. The very first trap is the sunk cost trap. This is particularly bad when you are aiming for a specific goal, like the summit of a mountain, for instance. Once you get past a certain point, let's say past halfway up the mountain, you start thinking, well, I've already put in all this effort. I've sunk cost into this endeavor, and now I have to get to the goal, otherwise it's not worth it. Or, as another example, perhaps you get to the Blokranz River on the Otter Trail and you make the very steep descent all the way down to the river just to look at the river conditions up close, because from the top you couldn't really tell whether it would be possible to cross or not. And you get down to the bottom and the river does not look good, but you don't really want to turn around and go all the way back up those steep stairs again. So you're like, well, I've already sunk so much effort into this, I've sunk cost into it, I'm just going to cross the river, and actually it wasn't a good idea. Then the second trap that you can fall into is the imposter trap. And this is where you feel like an imposter. So this happens in group situations when you're hiking. You feel like everyone else around you knows better than you and knows what they're doing, and you can't question them, or you should just trust them to look after you. And this can really get you into trouble, because some people out there don't know what they're doing, and sometimes people also don't realize when they're making mistakes. So even if you think your questions are dumb or you don't understand what's going on, rather just ask people to explain their reasoning for doing things. If something feels off to you, then definitely speak up, because probably other people in the group are wondering about that same thing. And sometimes it's being done for a very good reason, and once the reasons are explained to you, it does make sense. But don't just trust implicitly that someone else in the group knows what's going on and has everything under control, because sometimes they don't. Then the third trap that you can fall into is probably the one that I am guilty of falling into the most often, and that is what I call the endorphin trap. It's where you're having so much fun that you forget to do basic safety things. For instance, when you arrive at a trailhead, particularly of some really exciting trail or a bucket list trail, or you're just in a really good mood and you're meeting all your friends and you're having a good time, maybe you forget to have a look at the trailhead and see whether there's a map or an emergency number or some kind of notice about closures on the trail, and you just set off onto the trail because you're so excited and you just can't stop. You have to get going. This can also end up costing you in the long run, because if something does happen on that trail, then you don't actually have all the safety equipment that you should have had. Another thing that happens to me pretty often is I forget to check my gear. You should always check that you have all of your gear right when you start the trail, and not in your excitement rush off and leave something vital in the car. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've fallen into any of these traps before, then let me know in the comments. Or if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more from me, then you can click on my channel name to see videos that I've made in the past, or you can subscribe to my channel to see videos that I'm going to make in the future.